Hi, I'm Kimberly Butler. Welcome back to my vlog. Freeing up the press. It's a question that I explored, starting off with Rachel Sklar of Mediaite.
The thing about Marshall McLuhan and the whole medium as a message thing is that there are so many different media now, and that is truly impacting what the message is and who the messengers are, because the barriers to entry have been so incredibly lowered. Now you have anybody who can post a video to YouTube. You can have anybody join the conversation via a blog. You have people joining Twitter to blurt out news, to report on what they're seeing in real time. So you've got coverage of stories that are happening right now, and we've seen this most recently during the Iranian election. We saw this during the Mumbai terrorist attack. We saw this when the Miracle jet on the Hudson landed.
During the Iranian Revolution, the recent Iranian Revolution post-election, I was watching one cable news network, and they were talking and they were running the same piece of video over and over that I knew was AP video. After about 20 minutes of blah, 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 and nobody was in Iran, I skipped over to another cable news network, and they had fabulous pictures. You know, what happened there? Why didn't that first network have the video that the second network did? Because the second network was taking in video from cell phones.
When you see an Israeli child or a Palestinian grandmother, aunt from Afghanistan, an uncle from Iraq, telling their own story, that will challenge the stereotypes and the caricatures that fuel hate in the world. You say, it sounds like my aunt, it sounds like my mother, it sounds like my baby. Media means mediation, but we want as little of it as possible. Let people speak for themselves, unless they can't tell their own story. In the past, the networks would pay millions of dollars to satellite video around the world. We perfected, working with indie media activists and hackers very early on, a way to transmit broadcast quality video over the internet. So when we were covering the war in Iraq, Saddam Hussein had put up a firewall.
The government in Iran has been interfering with the coverage of what's going on there by jamming signals, cutting off cell phones, and text
They got a program
and
that they were able to send the video in, say, 150 or 200 packets, and it would go through almost like a screen door, and we'd put it back together here in New York, put it back together, and broadcast it. This was developed with public money, the internet. It's so important. Here in the United States, we can communicate with a Dalit organization of women in India. We can talk to people on the ground in China, in Iraq, in Afghanistan. Not necessarily get the government point of view, get people on the ground.
The future, in many ways, belongs to the internet. And you aren't going to have every internet site, not nearly every internet site, worth going to. But it's the future, and we have to learn to deal with it. That doesn't mean that the internet is going to completely obliterate television, radio, and for that matter, print. And when television came in, do you remember the people who said, television? Who's going to read a newspaper now? Who's going to read a magazine now? Who's going to listen to the radio now? Because you have television, in fact, radio with pictures. Well, it didn't work out that way.
There is a whole movement working for net neutrality, which is called network neutrality, which is fighting for open and equal access to the internet. Don't let them privatize it. I mean, we see this over and over again. You socialize the debt. When the research is going on, the public pays for it, and then you privatize the profit. When it's all developed, the corporations take ownership.
Truth is out there on the internet. It's just difficult to discern what's true and what's not. I personally believe I've become pretty adept at being able to tell, okay, that has the ring of truth, that doesn't. But, I mean, I use another example, Wikipedia. Wikipedia has become a weapon of the left to destroy people. I mean, I know my own Wikipedia page is rife with errors. And when you try to change your own Wikipedia page, you have almost no success. I mean, and it just gets changed right back by people who have an agenda, and that stuff matters. I've been canceled from speaking engagements because of stuff that was not true on my Wikipedia page.
The internet in contrast to all prior forms of communication, is really responding in a neutral way to your needs. And as soon as for example, if Google didn't give me what I wanted, I'd be looking through another search engine.
The media has to tell the truth, or the many truths. People are turning away from the media. Well, I would say, look, President Bush goes to war with Iraq. The reason he gives is weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destruction.
The media acts as a megaphone for that message. Bush couldn't have convinced most people that he had WMD if he had a little megaphone on the steps of the White House, but he had something more powerful. He had the most powerful institutions on earth. He had the U.S. media. Yes, the U.S. media are the most powerful institutions on earth, more powerful than any bomb, more powerful than any message. And the media got it wrong. And so people in this country and around the world saw this, especially in this country. So it not only raised questions about President Bush, but for the American people, it raised questions about the media. How did they get it so wrong?
Hey, thanks for watching. Join us next time we talk about the entertainment industry and the media.